All right, you guys are in for a treat today because I am going to share with you the full story of how I funded my college education and how I got my degree debt-free back in 2022. Now, I'm going to break this up chronologically and tell you the exact steps I took to make my college education more affordable and how I was able to pay for it completely with zero student loans. Keep in mind, my parents did not pay for my college, nor did I receive any financial aid. Shout out to my parents though, because they did save up for my college in a college savings 529 plan. I'll talk more about that later, but I made sure we didn't have to dip into that at all as I went through my schooling. So let's take it back to the summer of 2015 when I finished up my sophomore year in high school. That summer, 15-year-old me took my first college class at a community college, and I'll tell you exactly how I was able to do that as just an upcoming junior. So my first step was this little thing called dual enrolling. Dual enrolling is a program that allows high school or secondary students to start taking college classes right away, and that'll give them credit for both their high school and their college. And if I didn't mention this, it is all completely free. High schools won't come right up to you and give you a flyer telling you to dual enroll right now. Like, this is something you have to seek out for yourself, but it is something that is getting a whole lot more popular. So I would recommend, if you are in high school and you're a sophomore, maybe going to junior year, go and talk to your guidance counselor and ask them about this option. From there, they're going to check your eligibility, make sure you have the right GPA, the right grades, and it's honestly not that strict in order to get into this program. You just have to show the initiative first. So during my junior year, I was taking about 5 classes at the high school and a couple classes at the college. And once I hit my senior year, I only had 1 class at the high school and the rest of my classes were at my local community college. If you're getting offered free college credit, I highly recommend you take it right away because you're probably going to run out of high school classes to take anyways. Number 2, take AP classes and try your best to pass them. In my experience, AP classes are a whole lot more difficult than dual enrollment classes, but thankfully with high school, teachers are there to help you and support you throughout the whole way. College classes, not so much. You're kind of left on your own, but the workload is easier starting off. But if you do pass these AP classes, they can exempt you from having to take these classes in college later on. And with college classes being over $1,000 a semester, that'll save you a whole lot of money just by getting a 3 in your AP geography class. I don't even know. Your AP human geography class. There we go. Because I took AP Calculus BC in high school and I passed it, I was able to avoid college math throughout my whole college career. And if you are in high school nervous about passing these AP classes, I would highly recommend you just go to the after school AP exam practices or extra study sessions they offer, because that's where really most of the learning happens, and that's what defines people who pass versus people who did not. My third step as I was finishing high school was to make sure I applied for scholarships. And a precursor to applying for scholarships is you have to make yourself aware of what scholarships are out there. So once again, this is where your high school guidance counselor comes in super clutch. I would say just become friends with them at this point. When I was in high school, I was actually a student aide for the guidance office, so I got really close with the counselors and they were able to share with me all the resources I needed in order to fund my next step. So senior year, don't just get caught up in prom and all the festivities, but make sure you take advantage, because the scholarships they offer in high school are like the big ones, the big kahunas. These are the kinds of scholarships in high school you can get that will give you a full ride in college, cover 100% of your tuition, books, whatever. So you need to take full advantage and learn about what scholarships are out there. There was even one for being Asian American that I could have applied for. So you need to look at your specific situation, see what things make you different. Maybe your parents work for a company that offers scholarships to the employees' kids. Maybe you're a Native American that has some huge college fund just for Native Americans. It's up to you once again to take initiative, talk to your counselor, and find out your options. As a Floridian, there was a Bright Futures scholarship that I could apply for. It would cover your tuition by 100%. All I had to do was get a certain score on the SAT and to get some volunteer hours. I think it was 100. And by the time I graduated high school, this was on my radar, and because of dual enrolling in AP classes, I already had enough credits to get my associate's degree. So bam, 2 years of college done, free, taken care of. Now let's fast forward to after high school. I graduated, and then I took 2 years off of school to serve a mission for my church. If you know the guys who wear white shirts and ties and ride bikes, that was me. And I did that in Las Vegas for a couple years. I got to teach families about faith, and I learned just a whole lot about the world and myself. But once I got back back to Florida. I was ready to start my college education again, but I was no longer under the shelter of high school, dual enrolling, and free college. It was a sticky situation at the time because my Bright Future scholarship that would have covered 100% tuition was no longer eligible to me because I left school for like 2 years, and they tell you that you need to start college immediately after high school in order to be eligible for this scholarship. Thankfully, I always knew that there would be some kind of way if I talked to the right people and pleaded my case. At the time, I was also listening to a podcast called Borrowed Future, all about trying to get yourself through college debt-free, and that motivated me to go above and beyond to make sure I secured my scholarship. So me, now 20 years old, 2 years after high school, went back to my high school, reconnected with my guidance counselors, and I was able to talk to them and let them know my situation and what I was trying to do so I can go to college 100% tuition covered. So shout out to Mrs. Briggs. We were able to go into the archives of our high school and find my old volunteer hours, find my old scores for my SAT, and use that as my case for getting my Bright Future scholarship. We also found out that I was able to use my Bright Future scholarship because there was a small footnote that said if you ended up going to the military or served some kind of religious mission, then you're given extra time to start college and still use your scholarship. So hallelujah, that little clause was right there for me, but if I didn't follow through and look at the nitty-gritty details, I would have completely missed my opportunity and I wouldn't have had my tuition covered 100%. The reason I tell you this whole story is because that's my fourth step in order to get a debt-free degree. It's to be diligent. I didn't just take rejection up front. I knew that I was the only one who cared the most about this scholarship, so I was the one who had to make the moves in order to make this happen. Not everyone's going on a church mission trip and not everyone's going to the military. So if you think applying to scholarships is a waste of time, don't think of it as a chore. Think of it as your part-time job. Because if you really think about it, 10 hours dedicated to applying to scholarships, maybe you score a $1,000 scholarship out of that. If you do the math, $1,000 in 10 hours, you just got paid $100 an hour for your work. So this is literally the highest paying job you've had up to this point. That's a pretty dope ROI. Okay, so step 5 takes you into college now. You might be picking up on your junior year, you might be starting freshman year, but my 5th step is to not buy things from the university. And what do I mean by that? You're already giving them a ton of money for tuition. Why do you have to go and pay their premiums to go stay in their fancy dorms, maybe the closest housing nearby, or paying also for their expensive meal plans? Don't take your university's offerings just because it's convenient or because they hyped it up at orientation. Do your own research to find your place. Off-campus housing is usually cheaper. Grocery shopping and cooking your own food is usually cheaper as well, because who actually really sticks to their meal plan every day? Also, I would say don't just try to chase the college experience of wanting to live in a dorm, do all the college things, because if you're trying to avoid student loans, the best option for you might just be to commute from your parents' house or maybe to just sleep on a friend's couch for the time being. For me, my college was over an hour away from my parents' house and I would have to take tolls every day to get there. That's what you have in Florida, a bunch of toll roads. So I chose instead to hit up a friend and I slept on a futon in their apartment for the first semester. It did save me a ton of money and gave me some time to find a job so that eventually I can move into a real apartment and have my own room. And once I did get a job delivering pizzas for Papa John's, I moved in with some friends into a 3-bed, 2-bath. I paid $600 a month. And of course, as a delivery driver, I probably made $2,400 a month. Rent was only $600, and that left me with a lot of room still to save and get my groceries and other necessities. From there, I cooked in my apartment. I avoided the school meal plan. I drove my 2012 Honda Civic that was bought off Facebook Marketplace, and I just lived like a broke college kid, like you're supposed to. Step 6, now that you have your scholarships in place, you're working, maybe you got financial aid. Now the rest of it is up to you, and because you are working, now you can cash flow your college. Cash flowing your college means that you're paying for your semesters as you go along. So this also means only taking the amount of classes that you can afford each semester. Don't feel this pressure that you have to graduate in 4 years like everybody else. If you can only afford 2 classes a semester, so be it. You might get your bachelor's in 6 years, but you're not trapped for the next 15 years trying to pay off your student loans. And from personal experience and seeing other students, I believe that if you are working through school, not only will you be a better student, but you'll be better equipped for reality after college. The 7th step I took, which is more of a maintenance step, is called making a budget. In reality, you should have always had this budget all along, but now that you have a consistent income, you kind of know your expenses more. In reality, you should have always had a budget, but now that you have a more predictable income, your expenses are more predictable, it'll be a lot easier to create a budget so that each month you can can plan out where your money's gonna go, how much you wanna save, how much you wanna put towards school, necessities, and even towards fun things throughout your month. And last but not least, step 8, do not join any unnecessary programs in college. I'm talking about fraternities and sororities that'll cost you $1,500 a semester, which is already equivalent to your cost of living anyways. Get involved, but don't feel this need to have to spend money in order to make friends, build a social group, or to network. And I promise you, if you follow through with all these steps, be diligent, talk to your guidance counselor in high school, please, you're gonna be able to graduate and get your degree debt-free. And if you are in college or you're trying to save up for other financial goals, I have this whole video about how to lower your grocery bill. This can be useful for college students, new families, newlyweds, high schoolers even. So click on it right here. I'm waiting. Okay, thanks. Peace.